Did you watch the Grammys?
Yes, Olivia and I watched part of them, but we missed Harry Styles, the best part.
Yeah,
But
he was like right at the beginning.
Yeah, because we didn't realize it until it was too late because she was over here helping me move. So we didn't realize it until it was too late. So we missed that. But I don't know. We watched like a decent portion of them. I don't necessarily care about the Grammys out of all of the award shows because I don't really listen to pop music besides like Harry Styles last night or on the Grammys. There's not really any other artists that I listen to really at all.
Mhm.
I don't know. I guess though I shouldn't say like pop music because like country and rap and stuff. No, like dance music or electronic music is really ever that prominent on there. But I caught Fox News's favorite performance of Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion.
Not funny.
Olivia and I were livid. We were, especially the high heel shoe with the money floating around.
Yeah.
Could you imagine us in there?
Oh my God. And you know that it was real money too.
There was no way that they were putting fake money in that. So yeah, it was great. Yeah, Dua Lipa.
Oh, get out her outfits.
Oh my God.
That's like new fashion. That's definitely like music festival. I wish that there were, I mean, who knows, they might be happening this summer, but if next time I'm at a music festival, catch me dressed exactly like her. Honestly. But looking not like her her body is superb. And mine is
mine is a little yikes. Mine is like you haven't worn your jeans since last March.
Yeah, I'm living in sweatpants and sweatshirts, and even this weekend, like I'm dressing comfy. I'm not even like really dressing up.
I'm bringing cute stuff, but I'm wearing joggers for both outfit changes because I want to be comfy.
I don't know if I'm doing an outfit change anymore because I'm starting with my favorite one. So if I don't like sweat through it, I'll just leave it on.
Okay, well, I'll bring both and decide day of.
Let's do it.
I'm excited to talk about it. I can't believe that you don't think that Carey Mulligan looks like Arizona. I thought that the whole movie I kept on being like Arizona.
Really? That is so funny.
I thought she really sounded like her.
Huh.
Recording in 3, 2, 1.
Buckle up.
Because it's going to be a long ride.
It's going to be a wild ride.
No one cares, but we're going to tell you anyways.
This is Popcorn Chat. All right, what's up, you guys? Welcome back to Popcorn Chats. I'm Katie.
And I'm McKay.
And this week, we are talking about the new... Excuse you.
I'm sorry.
Quiet on the goddamn set.
I had my ringer on all day because of my internet issues,
Okay, as I was saying, this week we're talking about the new movie Promising Young Woman, directed by Emerald Fennell, starring Carey Mulligan, and produced by Margot Robbie's production company, Film Nation Entertainment. Just a lot of bad bitchery going on here. We're continuing with our Women's History Celebratory Month of March on the pod. And this one is... if you haven't seen it, don't be mistaken. It is not really like an empowering film, I would say. I mean, there are moments where I was like, hell yeah, bitch, stick it to the man. But it's definitely not like Moxie, which we covered a couple weeks ago. It's very different than the other stuff we've been talking about this month so far, so I'm excited to get into it. I will just say that we're going to do our catch-up because I've been talking to people, and some people, if they don't know the movie or the TV show or whatever we're talking about, they just listen to our catch-up and then turn it off. So, if you haven't seen this movie, or if you are sensitive to like sexual assault or rape, because that does come up in this film and we're going to be discussing that, no worries. Stick around for the catch-up and then hop off afterwards. I will do another like trigger warning before we get into the content of this film. But we will start, as usual, with our catch-up. A lot has happened in Miss MICHAE'S life, so she can go first.
Well, if you're watching on YouTube, my background looks different. I moved over the weekend. I was supposed to move in on Monday, which was Katie's birthday, but we were supposed to get snow. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? We've had like beautiful weather.
Yeah.
Beautiful weather the past few weeks in Wisconsin. And then, of course, the day that I'm moving, we're supposed to be getting a bunch of snow. So my landlady was so nice and let me move some of my furniture in on Sunday so that way we could get like some of the bigger stuff in my apartment before all the snow came. So that was good, but I've had some internet issues. It is currently Wednesday, and I called and got my internet set up last Thursday before I even moved in. And then my dad and I were here over the weekend on Saturday trying to get a router working, and it just wasn't happening. And then Monday, when I was moving my stuff in, we were again trying to get a router working, and I have had 3 routers in this apartment so far. And finally, my old one from freshman year of college is working. I don't know what the fuck. It has been a whole hassle. I had an internet guy come out here this morning and I almost cried when he was here because it wasn't looking like it was going to work, and I was getting frustrated because I do work from home. So I literally need internet to work, and I couldn't keep taking time off of work. But it's working now, which is good. And now I have 2 routers to return. But yeah, it's just been busy. I mean, moving is hectic. I don't know. There's just like a lot. There were a lot of like mini crises that popped up. They all got taken care of, but it was just in the moment. It felt like everything was the end of the world, and obviously it's not. And I'm in, and it's fine. I don't have a couch yet because my couch is back ordered because of COVID, so hopefully I'll be getting that at the end of this month. In the meantime, it's just vibing, but I really like having my own place, and I really like my apartment. The complex is really nice. I've already met the maintenance man, and he's super chill, so
I love that. Yeah, it looks really cute. I'm so excited to come visit.
Yeah, I can't wait for you too. I need to get, like, I don't have anything hanging on the walls, and it's kind of like echoey in here, so I'm going to try to like keep my voice down a bit. You cannot hear anyone. Like, I haven't heard any neighbors or anything, so I don't think they can hear me, but also I don't have anything on the walls yet. So I'm trying to like be conscious of that.
Right.
And I almost died today, actually, guys. I had a near-death experience. Let me just tell that quick and then I'll move on. So I have a 1-bedroom, but I do work from home, and I don't really have room in my living room to set up my desk and office chair and like monitors and stuff for work, but I have a huge closet. So I'm like, I can put my desk in there and like set up my stuff in there, and then I can just like kind of close off my work stuff at the end of the day, but it doesn't have a light in it. So my dad installed just like a little like light beam in there that's like just a little like pull tab. It's not like an electricity one, it's just like a battery one, whatever. That fell off the ceiling today. I was working in there and I got up to pee, and then I went to the bathroom and I heard a big crash, and I went back and the light was dangling from the ceiling like in my chair. So if I would have been sitting in there, popcorn chats might have ended everywhere.
Oh my God.
It wouldn't have killed me, but it would have like hurt.
Yeah.
Because it would have just smacked me upside the head.
So did he come and like reinforce it, or what's the sitch?
No, so he came and just took it down, and we're just gonna hang it on the side of the wall. He thinks that he could put it back up and it would be fine, but I don't really want that.
Yeah.
I don't want that in there. So he's gonna bring over his like drill and just put it in the side of the wall instead.
I'm glad that you are in the apartment and everything's going well, and I'm good. Really nothing new is going on. I got my hair cut, if you're watching on YouTube. Positive comments only. I do kind of have Lord Farquaad vibes, but it'll grow.
Don't.
Yes, and I'm so fucking excited for this weekend. It is literally getting me through. I'm probably gonna be mega depressed, honestly, after, but we're not thinking about that right now. Oh my God, the book that we're reading for book club is changing my life. I love it so much. I'm addicted to it. I just constantly want to read it, but I have so much other shit going on. Like getting ready for the girlies to come this weekend and working, and
I can't wait to read it tomorrow night. But did you see, okay, because when we were on book club, I had spoiled it for myself. Did you see what I spoiled?
I think, did you see the last page of part?
I'm loving it, and it's so pretty too. I have that cover on display over. I set up my bookcases, which is my favorite thing of my whole apartment, and I'm able to like display some more covers, and that cover is just so pretty. Anyways, we're talking about Promising Young Woman this week. That was so much fun. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I enjoyed my viewing experience. And once again, just watching new movies, like this would have been a movie that I would have loved to have seen in the theater. Like it's just a theater type movie. And I'm sad that obviously we couldn't, but
Yeah.
I'm excited to hear your thoughts on it. Because the whole time I wanted to just be texting you and getting your live reaction.
Oh, dang. Yeah, so you know how back in February when we watched Malcolm and Marie and we were like, this shit is going straight to the top, like Oscar noms? Nothing.
Those came out on moving day, and I couldn't even look at them. And then before I had internet, I have horrible cell reception here, so I literally couldn't get online until today. So I was finally just getting caught up on like all the like reading through the full list and everything, because everything that I had heard was from like people telling me like in person.
Yeah, I don't think that we are stupid for that. I think that is just so not
That's
okay.
a snub.
That is a snub.
That's a full-on snub.
Granted, I need to like start watching more of the stuff that's been nominated. But anyways, why I brought that up is Promising Young Woman has been nominated for a ton of stuff, which we love.
5. Best Picture, Best Actress, Best Director, Best Original Screenplay, and Best Film Editing. Huge to be in the director, actress, picture, and screenplay categories. Editing is, I mean, still it's another nomination. It's not like the biggest category, but also we love to see that a female director nominated, because in past years, that category has severely lacked women. I'm excited. I agree. I need to be watching more of the movies that are like coming up, because I think this year is probably the year that I feel like the least prepared.
Yeah, me too.
Like I've barely seen anything.
I just want to say that I did enjoy this, but I had a hard time like collecting my thoughts on it. I think this is the first film that I've had a really hard time with in a while. Like preparing for this episode and really knowing what to say and just like gathering my thoughts. And I was honestly kind of worried about you, like the quick turnaround, because Michaela had to watch it today. I watched it on Monday, and I was like, thank God I have this time to really like figure out what the fuck, like, I didn't even know if I liked it at first. I was like, because there were moments where I was like, this is not okay. I don't like this at all. I just want to admit straight off the bat that I went to YouTube to like see what other people were saying about the film. I went to Amanda the Jedi's channel. Do you know her?
Mm-mm.
She does film reviews, and she helped me get like a better sense of the film's intentions and kind of helped me like flesh out my thoughts. And a lot of what she said really like aligned with what I was thinking, but just couldn't put into words. So I don't want to like plagiarize her at all, but I am going to be like reiterating and paraphrasing a lot of what she said, and I will link the video in the description because I feel like of this episode, because I feel like she had a lot of really good things to say. Obviously, I'm like gonna be using my own voice because that's what you guys tune into the pod for. For whatever reason, I don't know. I think I was expecting something a lot different than what this film actually was, and it just really kept throwing me and kept ripping the rug out from underneath me, constantly subverting my expectations. And it just really caught me off guard. Like half my notes were unusable because in the moment it made sense, but then by the end of the film, saying that wouldn't make sense. Like I really liked Ryan, but then by the end I was like my standout scene was the Paris Hilton scene in the pharmacy, but now I'm like, it's not anymore. Like
I put down, we love a montage moment.
I did too.
By the end, I was like, I took it out.
I did too, and then I took that out of my notes, but we can get into it. So now, guys, we are going to be getting into the nitty-gritty of this film. So if you are sensitive to heavy topics like rape and sexual assault, hop off probably the rest of the episode.
I want to get into what your expectations were then, because this was it was like exactly what I expected. So I never felt that way along the way of being like, wait, what? I do kind of wish that I had more time, mostly because I don't like making knee-jerk reactions to anything and then having it out on the internet, because maybe a week goes on and my opinion changes, or like a couple months go by and my opinion changes. Like I already know, like there are certain books that I've like reviewed and that are on my TikTok that I like gave high marks to, where now I'm like, I don't like that anymore, but it's like out there that I liked it, and anyways, stuff like that I wish I did have a little more time to kind of sit with this. this, but at the same time, I didn't, one, have the chance to look up anyone else's opinions. And so for that, I'm kind of glad that I didn't, but also I do like it when I get to hear other people's takes, because other people's experiences are going to pick up on things that I may have missed in this. So I don't want to say anything that may come off in the wrong way, because like I didn't see it from like my personal experience. I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
After like sitting with it for a while and like fleshing out my thoughts and why I felt the way that I did, and like honestly it kind of made me confront a lot of things about myself and the way that I think about things, which is never comfortable. And it's also not a satisfying movie. Very broadly, my expectations were that this is a revenge thriller, which it is, but not in the way that you would think. Like it's not a satisfying
end how you would think.
Yeah, it's not a satisfying revenge.
It's a bold choice. I mean, spoiler alert, obviously you're on this video, but it's a bold choice to kill your main character.
Yeah, and to leave her out of like the last 10, 15 minutes of the film. This character that we've been following the entire time. Some of the things that she does, it's like she's likable, but the thing, like I wasn't expecting to question her actions, you know, and be like, I don't know how I feel about that. And not really like feel like I was aligned with her morally or always on the same page with her. I thought this movie was about a woman who goes to the bars, acts drunk, gets the nice guys in quotes home with her, and they like start to sexually assault her, and then she kills them. Because she's sober. I thought
she was going to kill them too.
So that was another thing that like completely subverted my expectation. But then after thinking and resonating on that more, I was like, it's almost worse what she does to them, because to kill them would just be easy. But instead now they have to live with themselves and come to terms with the fact that they are the monster that they claim not to be.
I thought the same thing, that I thought she was going to be killing them all. Would have audiences turned on her because of that? Like, I feel like that must have been a thought in Emerald's mind when she was writing this, of thinking like, if I have her kill these men, are audiences going to still take her side? And I think probably no, but also I don't know if audiences were on her side anyways. I was, but again, like Katie said, I was questioning her morals along the way, and I didn't always agree with her actions. But at the same time, for me, it was fun to watch, because she is like a morally gray character. She's not good. She's not bad. She really is right there in the middle. She does good things. She does bad things. And I personally love that. And it's very rare to see it in a female character. It's pretty much always the guys are the morally gray ones. So I actually really liked her character and like her thought process. At first, I thought with the teenager, the dean's daughter, I was like, oh, she did not. I'm like, what the actual fuck? And then she's like, actually, she's sitting at a diner. And I was like, okay, you had me there for a second, because I was about to jump off your side.
Yeah, same with the Allison Brie situation. Bitch, Allison Brie is finally in a movie. And I'm correct about that. I triple checked. It is Allison Brie in this movie.
When she popped up, I'm like, Katie can finally say Allison Brie is in this and be right. If you don't know, if this is like your first episode that you're hearing of Popcorn Jets, Katie has a problem of identifying Allison Brie. She always thinks that Allison Brie is in things when it's just other brunette women. So finally,
petite brunette woman. Every single petite brunette woman is Allison Brie to me.
You're like Julian, who thinks that like Sandra Bullock, Sarah Jessica Parker, and one other are all the same person. But yeah, so certain things like that, I was like, you can't do that.
Yeah, I was like, whoa, I'm like not okay with this. And we were like halfway through the movie at that point. I was like, you're gonna make me not like this girl now? But then a third of the way through the movie, we're made not to like the love interest. So we do find out that the main character isn't like evil, but you know, then we find out other stuff. I don't know. I aligned with her intentions, because I would fucking kill somebody over this shit. Like if it were you or my sister or anybody, like I probably would be cutting these motherfuckers' dicks off. I'd be going further than she's going.
Than just scaring them. This cast was weird. This was a weird cast. It was a lot of people. It was like acquaintances, but not a lot of people that I had seen a ton of their work. But that made it enjoyable. Like Jennifer Coolidge, love her. And then Carey Mulligan from The Great Gatsby. So it's like I knew of her, but I hadn't really seen a lot of her. Laverne Cox too. Bo Burnham,
McLovin. Like, there were random people in here that had, like, recognition for me, but I got to see them in something different, and I really liked that.
Yeah, I really liked that the guys kind of towards the beginning of the film that she's like psychologically torturing. I like the casting of those guys because it feels a bit random, but I don't think it is. I mean, I could be completely fucking wrong and that's fine, but I feel like it was very meticulous in the way that they chose guys who have played the nice guy or the harmless guy in other projects. So like the first guy, I know he was on Jennifer's Body, where he's like the good guy. I've never seen that movie, so I don't know. But I do know that in Gilmore Girls, he was like the love interest for the nice girl. So I remembered him from that, and I was immediately like, he's been this nice guy. And the other thing, and the whole theme of this movie is like, every guy thinks he's the nice guy and a good guy. Every woman has experienced something. So clearly not every guy is a nice guy. But anyways, and then McLovin. It seems random, but it like felt right. And then Bo Burnham again too. And like Schmidt from New Girl, he was the friend who like filmed the incident.
Absolute scum in this. When he kicked her hand,
yeah.
Disgusting.
First of all, the camera movement at the beginning, where it was like panning up and down the slow motion of the men, loved that choice. Loved that choice. And the song choice too, the Charlie XCX song. I just really appreciated that. I'm not going to go too into it, but it just felt like it was so weird. Going back to that whole subverting expectations thing, it felt so weird watching that with all these like khaki pants writhing on a fucking dance floor. And I was just like, this is so uncomfortable. But then I was like, how many fucking movies open just like this with women and no one thinks anything of it? And I was like, bro, I'm in for a fucking ride because she's already playing mind games with me in this.
Along those same lines, I love when she's walking home in the morning and she has the like jelly donut dripping down, which I think again subverted expectations of her being a killer, because you think like, oh my god, she has blood. And the way she's just walking and eating her donut, and then you hear the men heckling her and she turns and then stares at them, and because it's uncomfortable for women when you're catcalled. And then when she turns and just stares at these men and she makes them uncomfortable, I was like, see, it's not so fun when it's the other way around. And then when they're like, you can't take a joke, fuck you then. How many times, Katie, we've talked about that before. Men turning around and then being like, well then fuck you.
Yeah.
I love that opening montage and the It's Raining Men song, that version of it too, while, oh my god.
All the music in this,
the music was just great. The score was incredible.
I love the idea of taking like pop music and making it like giving it this more serious tone and like heavy weight to it, because I think people don't take Paris Hilton seriously or Britney Spears seriously, but they're icons. Like they have literally influenced our culture. Social media was invented by Paris Hilton. Britney, that's a whole other issue, but free her, please. But just I like how that was incorporated into this. The fucking strings version of Toxic, the best lead up to the climax in a film I've seen in a while.
I want that on my spot. If it's on Spotify, I'm downloading it after.
Another scene that I just wanted to highlight was the scene with the dean. For some reason that really stood out to me. I think it's because it showed that it's not just men who are the problem, and this movie isn't like a dump on men, which is something that Amanda the Jedi pointed out, which I appreciated. I think it shows more, like if you're so hung up on the fact that all the men in this look shitty, then you're missing the point, because the whole entire system is built against women who have been assaulted. It also highlighted the issue of people needing to put their own daughter or somebody they care about in a situation in order for them to empathize and like believe the person. And I'm not trying to throw my dad under the bus or anything, but we got in a heated argument about Brett Kavanaugh when all of that was going down, and he was talking about how it's taken her so long to come forward and everything. I was just like, okay, well, what if like something happened to me in high school and I just came forward about it now? And he was like, well, you would never do that. And I was like, okay, but what if I did? Like, what does that even mean? I would never do that. Like, because why would I come to you now if something happened? Because you don't, like...
You don't make it a safe...
Yeah.
when like Chrissy Teigen had her miscarriage and then like people on the internet were being like really horrible to her, and people were like, Chrissy Teigen won't see all of your comments, but your friends who have had miscarriages will see that. Or like after Meghan Markle's interview, saw the same thing talking about her. That right there. We'll just leave that there. I agree, that conversation with the dean was one of my standout scenes too. First of all, when she like walks in that office and you could just tell like Cassie's character was just so well played. I feel like Carrie Mulligan just did such a good job, and you could just tell that she was just like itching for the dean to give her like that little opening to start digging at her. First of all, it was wild because I was like, what is she doing with this lady's daughter? And then obviously we find out that she's fine. What would you have me do? Ruin a young boy's life for this? And it's like, yeah. How about we hold men accountable? Oh, and when she said that there was 1 to 2 reports every week, and I'm like, why do you say that so nonchalantly? Like, this is a serious issue, and you could just tell that she genuinely didn't care until she thought it was her own daughter. And it was just kind of something that reminded me a lot of the administrator in Moxie, too, of not really caring until it became her problem. And that didn't even like directly affect the principal, but she didn't care until there was so much attention on it that she had to do something about it. I liked them by the end that we got a little bit more about Nina. I wish we would have gotten more Nina. I kind of want to get into that and like the choice to leave her out of this completely. But I kind of liked that in that moment, you know, we did get a little more context of her, because that was about halfway through the movie and we still didn't have much yet. To the lunch with Madison, along the same lines of being like that this isn't just a men's problem, that it's also other women too, of when Madison was like if you sleep around and then the next day you decide like you don't want to sleep with someone, that's not all of our faults. It's that too, of women also perpetrating the stereotype of like if someone is seen like as quote unquote like a slut, or they sleep around, or they're like promiscuous, that then that's like inviting them to be assaulted, when that is so far from the truth. But it just shows too that Madison, again, an educated woman. This dean is educated. She's a dean of a university. Madison went to medical school, and she even talked about like her accomplishments at the start of this conversation. Like, she should know better. Like, you would think as a woman, you would look at another woman and be like, you'll be my ally in this, right?
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily the case. It should be, but it's not.
It goes back to the theme of this, which is everybody is the good guy in their own head. Fucking Osama bin Laden was probably like, I'm the good guy in this scenario, you know? Any woman of today is like, yeah, I'll advocate for other women and like stand up when I see something going on, or like believe other women. And I hope to God that, you know, I always say and do the right thing that's going to back up my beliefs of like equality for people of color and women and the LGBTQ plus community and all that stuff, but I'm imperfect and flawed. And this movie, again, like made me confront that and be like, you're not always the good guy. Even though your intentions might be good, sometimes you make the wrong decision, and then all it really takes is accountability. And that's really what Cassie is looking for when she confronts all these people. And none of them are willing to do that. All Bo Burnham's character had to do, he had multiple times to be like, yeah, that was fucked up. And he, to the detective, could have said she went to the bachelor party, but he still didn't. He had multiple times for redemption. The dean, like, never apologized. Didn't even remember Nina's name. Alison Brie's character, like, it took all of them being psychologically tortured and put to the point where somebody they cared about was at risk. Madison thought that she was in a similar situation where she got too drunk and might have been assaulted or taken advantage of. These men, their biggest fear, oh my God, is coming true, where they're going to be accused of something. It takes that for them to finally admit, okay, I'm sorry, I was wrong. Except for the lawyer, which we can get into that, man.
How you kind of talked at the beginning, how it's all these good guys that have played this role. Because then again, you have Bo Burnham's character, who's a pediatric surgeon. You would think, like, what a great dude. He saves children. Like, why wouldn't he be this awesome dude? And then you have this taking place at a medical school too. So you would think like these are doctors, you know, they should be like educated, smart people, able to make good choices. This guy who had raped Nina is now an anesthesiologist. He does TED Talks. He graduated at the top of his class. Like, these are people that society deems quote unquote good. You know, like these are societies, like good people. And it shows that they are still, which it sends like kind of a depressing message to be like, you really don't know who anyone is or if anyone's really a good person until kind of proven otherwise. We're led to believe this whole time, we're like, oh, Bo Burnham's character, Ryan, he's so sweet. What a nice guy. I was really liking him. And then we see that he was involved in this incident back in college. And that just kind of makes you rethink everything along the way in the film so far, which I like, because then you're looking back and being like, were there red flags? Were there things that we missed? Was there something we could have picked up on? And it's like, honestly, no, there really wasn't anything for her to read into beforehand that would have showed who he was. It was, unless if he was on tape, like she would have probably never known. Because he would have never admitted it. Because again, he didn't think that anything was wrong. How many times was he like, we were just kids. It was stupid. Or I kind of like the pessimistic, realistic message of being like, good people, quote, I put quotes around good, are not necessarily good.
Like, you're not the nice guy that you think you are. And like, or maybe the ally that you are like proclaiming yourself to be, which again, like introspective work that I'm trying to do. But I think looking back, there are certain red flags with Bo Burnham's character, like him being like, you gave me a fake number, and so I'm just like coming back, I'll leave you alone. But it's kind of like, that was her telling you to leave her alone. But then, I mean, it's not really that bad. She basically said no with that action, and she spit in his coffee, and he was like, this is a turn on.
He drank it. I was like, there's a pandemic. I'm like, I get it, not in the movie, but in my mind, they're like, in this world.
And he was like, oh, we're at my apartment.
Oh, that was like, no.
Ew.
To me, at the time, I was like, ew, that's gross. But then how he was like, oh, I'm sorry, you know, and I'm like, oh, I don't think he thought this through, or like he was just, I was trying to just be like, oh, he's just being a nice guy, and like he was dumb, he didn't think about it, you know, like, because I'm looking at this and I'm like, women overthink everything, or at least I know I do. I'm constantly thinking that everyone is a threat to me. Even the internet guy that came to fix my internet this morning, I made sure I texted both my parents when this guy got here, because I'm like, I want people to know that someone is here. So I'm like, maybe he just genuinely didn't think about it, which like could be the case. But like, I know there are certain things that men in my life do that I'm like, I know you would never think twice about that, but that's something that I think twice about. Yeah,
well, I like was very unsuspicious of Ryan this entire time. I was honestly more suspicious of Seth and Moxie. I was like, how is this kid gonna fuck this up? Like, how is he gonna be like a bad person? But for some reason in this, Ryan, I was like, he's good through and through. He's like the good guy. Our faith in men like is restored through this character. But then, like I said, the rug was ripped out from under me.
Did you like that? Did you like that he turned out to be like that, or no?
It was heartbreaking. No, I didn't. Cinematically, I like the choice. I think there's a lot of like bold choices in this that I just admire, and obviously like it's resonating with people because the award shows are acknowledging it, which I think is really cool. The fact that a woman can not necessarily break rules but push boundaries. I mean, so many unspoken rules in filmmaking that she broke, but my heart broke with her when I heard his voice. We've all been there, you know, where, okay, I think he really just wants to be my friend. Like, I think he really does understand that I have a boyfriend. And then something happens and it's like, damn it, you know. And I know like not everybody can relate to that, but I think it's just a truthful feeling of like, damn, you really had me going there for a second. I thought you were different, but you're literally just like the majority of guys. But then you guys, we can't say that because y'all get fucking triggered by that.
I agree. I like all of the bold choices, or well, I like that there were bold choices that were made. I'm normally the biggest proponent of character death. I still am unsure how I feel about the character death in this, so I know we'll talk about that a bit more because I want to hear your thoughts, and like I just don't really know how I feel, but I do know that I like that Ryan turned out to be bad. Yes, I was heartbroken right alongside her, and when she started crying, I like felt that. I felt her emotion of being like, I felt the Tyra Banks. I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. How dare you? Like, I felt that. I do like the choice, ultimately, of having him not be what he seems. I felt like it seemed in line with the film. especially with the dark, humorous tone that it had. I felt like that made more sense than them living like happily ever after at the end.
I do feel like this is so different from the other films we've been watching this month and other like female empowerment films because, you know, like take Moxie for example, there is the exception, Seth, like the good guy that the strong female lead ends up with, which we love and like we can appreciate that too. Then it's good to have this type of stuff thrown into the mix because, I mean, this is kind of like a wild and crazy movie, but it is realistic. I don't necessarily agree with the course of action that Cassie takes, but there's no right course of action because the system doesn't allow you to do that. And I appreciate a film that's not like, this is the answer, this is how to go about solving this issue and dealing with this grief and dealing with this trauma. No, because it's beyond a filmmaker to be able to do that with a subject like sexual assault and misogyny and toxic masculinity and this idea of like not all men and not me. I would never do that. There's no right answer. There's no way to go about it. There's no one simple way for one character to solve this issue. And even a group of women like in Moxie, you know, there's not really one way to do what needs to be done, which is to get this problem solved. But a film like this is making us think about the problem and address the problem.
I agree. I didn't feel like, yay, women at the end of this, like I did with Moxie. Again, I don't think that was the intention for this movie. I don't think it was intended to like rally women, especially like young women. I do think it was meant to satire, what's the plural of satire, whatever the fuck that is. Moving on. Visually, this movie was stunning.
Yes.
Can we talk about that for a moment? It was so beautiful. The shots, the backgrounds, the colors, the style, 5 out of 5 across the board for me.
Even though like there's this dark stuff going on, it was very like color poppy, bright, and kind of like clowny almost, especially the ending. Like the image that's sticking with me from this film is like the colorful wig that she was wearing and the like messy lipstick. I don't know. There was just something very like early 2000s pop to the
It feels
color
like
scheme.
a fun house.
Yeah.
Also, I really liked her makeup. That one scene with McLovin when he was like, I don't get why women wear all that makeup. You know, you guys don't need it. Message to all men. If women are wearing makeup, it's because we want to. Okay? And we like how it looks.
I was working at the gym the other day and a man said, would it kill you to smile?
Shut up. How could he even tell you were wearing a mask?
That's what I said, sir. Sir, I'm wearing a mask, so it really shouldn't be an issue. He's like, I can tell by your eyes. I'm like, why are you looking at me? What makes you think you have the right to say that? Like, what makes you think that I give a shit what you want me to do with my face? I don't give a fuck. I'm at work working for $10 an hour. You fucking smile, bitch.
Another small thing that I love is how Cassie always gets up in men's personal space, because that's something that men constantly do to women. Like, men are constantly invading women's personal bubbles, and like women are constantly trying to like make themselves smaller, you know, like, or keep in your space and make sure that when you're sitting in like a public place that you're not like sprawled out, you have your stuff kind of contained. And men don't give a fuck about that. Man spread things everywhere. And I like that she did that in reverse, making them uncomfortable, because again, like we've talked about before, how women are always trying to modify their behaviors to make men comfortable. And I like that in this, she's like, I'm just gonna throw your tactics right back at you and see how you like it. And they don't like it. You can tell how uncomfortable they are.
Yeah, and when she's like, do you still want to fuck me? When they realize that she's sober and they're like, no. And it's like, oh, why are you like uncomfortable now? Like, and it's just really, they really are like swallowing this pill of like, oh, I was about to fuck her because she was blackout drunk, but she's not actually. Realizing that fear of like, I might be accused of something that could ruin my life because she's actually sober and could. I don't know, it's just fucked up. I don't like how the immediate focus when we talk about issues like this is men's lives being ruined. Like, why is that the focus of like, oh, well, we just need to make sure that men aren't being wrongfully accused. It's like, step one, actually, let's make sure women aren't being sexually assaulted, raped, harassed, because we make up more than half the population and we can all vouch unless you are deeply rooted in your internalized misogyny, which I'm so sorry you will get out. I bet you will. But like, we can all acknowledge that like we've at least experienced some level of harassment, some drawback of misogyny. Every man that's accused is not innocent.
And watching this made me think of the fact that every single woman, again, I cannot speak on behalf of all women, but I feel like the vast majority of women know someone or has a friend who has been assaulted or has been assaulted or has experienced some form of harassment. But men never know anyone who has ever harassed another person or assaulted another person. Like, how men never know anyone. They're always like, oh, I've never heard of that happening. But women are like, you could call upon like almost any woman in a room, and I guarantee she can rattle off a story about from her personal experience or one of her friends or an acquaintance or a family member of harassment or assault. But yet men are constantly clueless. And I'm like, men, I guarantee you know someone who has assaulted someone, because
Yeah, or made
women
somebody
all
feel
know someone
uncomfortable, or made somebody feel like harassed, or just your buddies probably aren't, again, like the people that you should be
All
ride or
great
dying
guys.
for, because they're like, I don't know.
And not saying that all of your friends are pieces of garbage, but like Katie said, there are probably high chances that you have at least one friend who has made a woman uncomfortable at some point or like harassed another woman.
And the only reason why Michaela and I even feel the need to say that is because so often when women say, this happens to everybody, there is not a single woman that I know personally who has not experienced some form of harassment or assault.
Yeah.
We are when we say something like that, we are constantly faced with not all men. I've never done that. That's not what we're saying. We're not saying, but so now the thing that people are saying is, okay, whatever, not all men, but all women. That's the issue. We're not, like, if you feel threatened by women saying this happens to literally everybody, you're probably the fucking problem. You're probably too afraid to do the introspective work and be like, oh fuck, maybe I did something to make a woman uncomfortable sometime and I should probably not do that again. And it's as easy as that. And if you obviously did something worse and like sexually assaulted somebody, then I don't know what to tell you. You're gonna have to.
Then I hope you live in fear. I hope you live in fear of your person that you assaulted coming forward and saying something, because fuck you. If any men watched this, I just hope. And if you thought that it was like dramatic or extreme or unbelievable or far-fetched, I promise you this is not. There was not one thing in this movie that was like vastly unbelievable or far-fetched or far from the imagination or far from women's reality. Like, I hope that when you're watching and you're like, there's no way that could happen. Literally everything in this movie is so close to reality for women.
Being drunk in a bar, it is like a dangerous situation.
When it shouldn't have to be.
Girls need help in that situation. Anybody needs help in that situation. Overindulging is not an invitation, or not like like being raped is not a punishment for overindulging. Because
men get to overindulge all the time.
Right.
And again, like men get sexually assaulted as well. So again, we're not like saying that men are always the perpetrators and never the victim, but it is statistically higher that women are assaulted.
Also, the guy at the beginning, how he just kept being like, you're safe, don't worry, like,
get out.
And it's like, you probably have to tell yourself that to fucking sleep at night, buddy. Like, she's not safe. She's saying, what are you doing?
I think one of the main things that I did like about this movie, that if you're okay to kind of move into Nina a bit and like her character kind of, I do like how this shows the effects of sexual assault not only on the victim, because we don't ever actually see Nina. We hear her account later on from Cassie right at the end when she's talking to Al, I think his name is, and she's telling him like, I saw Nina become a shell after what you did. Like, she was top of her class and she dropped out. So we hear about Nina, but we never see her at all. But I like that this movie explores outside of Nina and shows like her mother, her friends, her bubble, and then how it has so affected Cassie, her best friend, and how she in turn dropped out of medical school with Nina, and then the effect that it's had on her parents. And it's just like this one assault affects so many people. And I think that's something that men, you know, how they're like, oh, it'll ruin the man's life. Jesus Christ. It'll ruin the men's life. And you don't think about every single person that it involves. And again, I'm going to plug Chanel Miller's book, Know My Name. If you haven't read it yet, please go and read it. It is an incredible book. And Chanel talks in that story that she's like, it wasn't just me that Brock Turner affected when he assaulted me. It was my sister, because then my sister had to be the one to live with this guilt of being like, if I wouldn't have lost you at that party, like maybe I could have saved you. It's the 2 Swedish bikers who saved her and were like traumatized seeing what he did to her. It's her parents, it's the lawyers, it's her extended relatives, it's her boyfriend. It's like that, those few minutes affected so many people's lives. And you don't get that side of it, or I don't think men see that side of it, and really just how vast that bubble spreads. And I like that this movie looked at that more, because it's not necessarily shown. Like, we've seen different revenge movies of women who have been assaulted, and that's like a whole different topic of like rape being used as a motivation or like a plot point in cinema, that it's like, we don't need that. Can we like move past that? But that this is like a different take on it. And we're not just seeing it from Nina. We're really seeing like the ramifications for other people involved as well, which I did like. I thought it was interesting.
Another thing that I'm just realizing now about my thought process going into this was that I didn't even assume that she had a motive for doing what she did, or doing what she does at like the bars and stuff. I kind of just thought, like, again, going back to that thing, like, honestly, any woman has justification. Again, not speaking for every woman, but like doing what she does, acting drunk in a bar and then being like, what are you doing sober? Like, I didn't really assume that she needed a motivation for doing that. But then once it gets into the markers throughout the film and she's going after certain people, then I was like, okay, there's clearly a motivation behind this. And I thought maybe she had been sexually assaulted, but then, you know, you piece together the narrative of what happens. But I agree. I do like that it's a revenge for the loved one. I did want to bring up, like, viewers, myself included, I think felt like she was just crazy, or like, is that enough of a motivation with the ending? Like, is she just crazy, you know, willing to literally die for this ultimate revenge? Amanda the Jedi incorporated this quote from Carey Mulligan in her video, and I really liked it, so I'm going to read it. Carey Mulligan said, "The point is that we have countless films about men who go on crusades on behalf of their loved ones, and we never say they're crazy or that they've lost their minds from grief. They're going around having shootouts and ninja fights in every scene. This is objectively insane. What Cassie's doing, by comparison, is fairly mild. It's just an interesting reaction because there's a huge amount of logic actually to what she's doing." Which again goes back to what I was saying, like, I feel like she was very justified in what she was doing with the men before I even knew the situation with her friend. But then for some reason, I was like, damn, she's really dying over this shit. But then I'm like, you know, at the end I was like, she better kill this motherfucker, Al. Her dying and like them actually, you know, they might not get the justice that they deserve for what happened to Nina, but they're gonna go to jail for a lot longer, probably because they murdered somebody. And unfortunately, men don't get enough jail time for raping somebody so often, so.
And then disposing a body, like burning a body like that, they would get a charge for that too. Like, they are definitely going to jail for longer. I didn't think about that actually her death does ensure that they will be held accountable, or at least like they have a lot better of a chance of being held accountable than they ever would have for raping Nina. I think how she said that she saw Cassie like turning in on her, or saw Nina turning into herself and becoming a shell. Like, Cassie has become of a shell of a person as well. And we see that in the beginning when she's talking to Laverne Cox about getting, like, you could move out of your parents' house, you could get a house, you could have kids, you could have a boyfriend, you could get this job, you could do all these things. And she's like, why do you assume that I want that? And she is just kind of at this standstill in her life where she's a little like, what is the point? And she only kind of sees the bad in the world. So ultimately, I don't think, like, yes, she didn't get her, in that moment, she didn't get her revenge, and she obviously fought her death, but also she had planned for that, and she knew going into it that there was a very real chance she was not going to come out, and she was, like, okay with that. Because I think she was just like, I'm going to do what I can do, but also, you know, kind of what is the point of me anymore, and like being anymore, when all you can kind of see is the negative. Her death actually does kind of make sense in a way. I don't know. I'm kind of torn on her death. I don't know We will see if by the end of this episode I make a decision.
It's even more heartbreaking because I don't think that it was her plan all along, because she's going through like how the film is broken up into chapters with each person that she is confronting about Nina. I don't think that chapter 5 was like originally part of her plan where she dies. And like I think when after she went and talked to Nina's mom, and Nina's mom was like, just let it go, like I need you to move on, and she at this point is with Ryan and things are looking really good, and like she throws that book away where she's keeping track of all these men, and like I feel like at that point she's like, okay, like maybe I can let this go and move on and like live for Nina, so to speak. And her parents like get a glimpse of the old Cassie again, which is like the most heartbreaking part, because then she goes missing. And like that's the worst part of Ryan's character turning too, is like that is then the catalyst for everything that happens. And that's really what the straw that broke the camel's back for Cassie, of like literally willing to put it all on the line for this shit. And she's not like fighting for all women. She's literally just fighting for her friend. Like, but she also kind of is fighting for all women, because she tells that guy at the bar, she's like, there's other women that do this, so fucking stop. And I think
one of them carries the scissors. I was like, oh.
Yeah, I think her goal with the stuff at the bar is to kind of, it's like her own addiction, but also she feels like she's actually doing something to prevent it from happening again, because if it wasn't her, then it might actually be a drunk girl that they bring home, or now they won't do that anymore because they're scared.
I liked those scenes of watching her at the bar. She played drunk very well.
I feel like I could.
I know that sounds weird, but... And then when McLovin tried to give her Coke and she like blew it back. Do you want to get into the lawyer?
Sure.
I often wonder how defense attorneys who represent men who assault women live with themselves. And even more so after reading Chanel Miller's book and hearing all of the ways that Brock Turner's attorney absolutely annihilated her character by pulling up drunk pictures of her, trying to flip every word that she said, trying to intimidate her into making it sound like she wanted it, literally just being a vile human being. And I sit there and I'm like, I get it that it's a job. And some people are like, it's just business. But I'm like, it's just like basic humanity. How can you do that? And then when this lawyer in this movie is talking, he's like, someone's entire job was to dig up dirt on women and find anything that will spew a jury another way. I was just sitting there and I'm just like, this man is scum. And still at the end, like, yes, he had his redeeming moment, but I'm still just like, sir.
That's just the thing. Like, I'm so over this whole, like, I'm just doing my job. Like, if you're in the military and shooting innocent people, like, I don't give a fuck. That's not okay. If you're a police officer and just following orders by killing somebody, I don't give a fuck. Like, that's the thing. Like, our justice system is flawed and we don't have to accept it. Morally, as humans, like, that is clearly wrong. Like, we know that. And just because we've created this fake ass system with these fake ass rules, like, that doesn't matter. He can't sleep at night because he knows it's wrong. It's fucked up.
And he knew it. You have to know at the time that it's wrong too.
We're just living in such a crazy ass time where like everybody is being asked to acknowledge all the shit they've done. Like David Dobrik and the entire Vlog Squad are being canceled currently because they're getting a ton of like rape allegations and stuff now too.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Obviously all the people on the internet, The Bachelor, like, I don't know. I just think the pandemic and everything that's gone on, everybody's changing and, like, having a perspective shift. This shit is not okay. And I believe that everybody should be innocent until proven guilty, obviously.
And then when men are guilty, but yet they're dubbed innocent.
Right.
Like, it goes more so that way than falsely being accused or falsely put in jail for rape charges. Because, like, I get people go to jail for shit that they didn't do because of other things. But for men, it's like you are very unlikely to go to jail for rape for not actually doing it than you are to go to jail for actually doing it. Did that make any sense?
Yeah.
There? Did I say that correctly?
Yeah, no, it did.
And even then, when men are proven guilty, shit barely happens.
Yeah.
I mean, I literally look at Brock Turner. They had everything. Like Chanel Miller had literally everything in her case. She had 2 eyewitnesses. She literally had a slam dunk case. She had a slam dunk case. And yes, she won her case, but then sentencing still proved to be in his favor.
Yeah.
And it's like, how the fuck? Oh, Brock Turner, I hate you. I feel like every woman does, but like literally fuck you. Fuck your defense attorney, whatever the hell his name was. She didn't even name him in her book because she was like, I'm not trying to get repercussions for this, but fuck you.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the lawyer character, I just liked how in the film he acted as a way to show literally all Cassie wants is people to acknowledge what they did. And that's literally all it takes. Like, that motherfucker in the waiting in the car was about to bust that man's kneecaps. And that would have been so satisfying, but she was like, nah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna use him later. Like,
Yeah.
and he atoned.
And at the end, when she had Al tied to the bed, she's like, say what you did.
Yeah. He never
say
says
what
it.
you did. And he didn't. Because
He
again,
never says
he's
the
like,
actual word.
no. Do you notice that men are like scared of saying the word rape?
Yeah. Apparently, though, he did say it. Like, in all the takes where he does say it, it just didn't feel right. Because
I like that he
you're
didn't
right,
end
though.
up admitting it.
Yeah. I think men just, like, don't like saying it. And it goes back to the theme of the film. Like, it's harder than you think to be like, yeah, I raped somebody. Like, no one is like, I'm a rapist. I'm gonna, nobody's like, I'm racist. Like, I'm a racist person. Watch this clip of me saying that, come back to haunt me in years. Somebody's gonna, like, take that. But, like, that's all really, at the end of the day, people are trying to do. I know that some people on the internet are taking it way overboard with cancel culture and everything, but, like, the intent with everything is, like, acknowledge it. Don't do it again. Be better. Stop making money off of shoving alcohol down girls' throats in videos and then, like, shooting your friend, like, after a threesome with them. Like, just don't do that shit anymore. Admit that it was wrong so that kids don't keep doing that. Like, that's all people are really asking for, and the people who are sending death threats, obviously not chill, but, like, it is harder than I think people understand to really be like, maybe I'm the monster.
It's hard to look at yourself and see like negative things or admit when you've been wrong. And like you said, I don't think any man who even has like raped a woman is like, hi, my name's Bill and I'm a rapist. Like, they're not gonna say that. Like, I guarantee that even like Harvey Weinstein to this day is probably still like, I didn't rape anyone. He's never gonna see it. He's never gonna be able to look at his actions and be like, what I did was wrong. They'll always convince themselves she wanted it or she was into it. Always be able to talk themselves off that ledge.
After she reveals that she's actually sober and they continue to be like, I'm a nice guy. Like, I think they genuinely believe that they are a nice guy. They do. And, like, the first guy being like, you're safe and it's okay. Like, he genuinely believes the stuff that he's saying. Again, he's not in his head like, I'm about to rape somebody.
Yes, exactly. And I think, too, for men watching this, take that first guy as a perfect example, that as he is, like, taking down her underwear, he's, like, kissing her legs. He's, like, caressing her. This is not just, like, a throw her on the bed kind of like violent act. Like, some like could, if she was sober and into it, that would be seen as like a very loving interaction right there. When you think about like rape, at least in like women's mind, we have like, I think, a more realistic picture of like what it could be, because often it is like an acquaintance or someone that you know. You're more likely to be assaulted by someone that you know than like a random person. And then it's not always this like in a dark alley or like hit over the head and like dragged behind something and assaulted. That it can be like in a very nice bed with a guy who's like being very like gentle. It's still rape.
Yeah, stuff like that makes it so much easier to or disassociate yourself from that. And these guys, again, this goes back to why I think the casting was so meticulous, because it's like, no, it's not this like scary looking dude with a bunch of like face tattoos. It's the nice guys. And she says, like, that's so funny. Like, the gentlemen are always the worst ones, it seems like, or something, when she's, like, tying Al up for her safety or whatever. Like, the same thing goes with anything. Like, racists aren't just the people that were, like, storming the fucking Capitol, you know, or they're not just the people wielding Confederate flags and burning crosses in yards. Like, you know what I mean? I think it's really,
microaggressions.
Yeah. Everybody just needs to stop disassociating themselves, because that's ultimately how we're going to move out of this weird limbo that we're in, where it's people being like, you're bad, and like everybody pointing fingers, which we do need to be holding each other accountable, but like you should also be making sure that like you're holding yourself accountable too. I guarantee everybody like going off on the internet, like Trisha Paytas has been the most outspoken about this whole David Dobrik situation, which kind of sucks because she is known for trolling, so then people are kind of like discrediting a lot of the stuff that she's saying. There is no perfect person.
You know, we've talked a lot, especially over the past month with Women's Month, talking about, and then with Malcolm and Marie, that was before this month, but about like authentic voices telling these stories. And I did just want to say, like, this is a film written, produced, and directed by a woman, which I think is great, especially when it's supposed to be from like a female's perspective, talking about a female being sexually assaulted and the results of that on like her best friend and this woman's revenge that she's out for. I do just like to see that it was written and made by women.
I think it would be a very different film if it were made by a man. If it were made by a man and it was exactly this, which I don't think it would be, but if for some miracle a man had the depth and understanding to make the film this way, I don't think people would be talking about like the bold choices or being like, oh, that was so bold, you know?
Because it would just be expected. Because it's like, of course a man could take risks. And kind of I just think like my overarching thing from it was that for women, this is not like a far-fetched story. Ultimately, like, was I satisfied by it? The ending, like, yes, because you would hope that these men are going to be brought to justice, but also no, because Nina's life was ruined and her family's lives, and Cassie's life was ruined, and Cassie's parents now have to deal with losing their daughter as well. And like ultimately it's not an optimistic message, all that satisfying, but yet looking back, like I really enjoyed the movie. I would definitely watch it again. It's not one where I watched and I'm like, oh, that ending disappointed me, I'm never gonna watch it again. This one I did have higher of expectations going into because of like the award nods that it was getting. It wasn't one like Moxie where I was like, I'm gonna kind of put away my critical lens and just try to enjoy this. Where this I was a little more critical of when watching, but again, like I did just flat out enjoy myself watching it, and that's kind of all I want at the end of the day in a movie. I want to be entertained and enjoy my time, and I did.
Yeah, I would definitely watch it again too. I think it's a truthful story, and those are always going to be good, you know, at the end of the day when it's coming from a place of authenticity, which that's like our new buzzword, but
I'm excited to see how it does at the Oscars.
Yeah, me too.
Because I can't really say like how I feel like it'll do or what my personal hope for it is, because I haven't seen, like as I said, I really haven't seen a lot of the other stuff that's nominated or even like some of the other performances that are nominated, but I thought Carey Mulligan was really, really great.
Yeah.
And granted, I don't know like a lot about some of the other films in the leading actress category, but if Carey Mulligan won, at least judging off of just her performance strictly, I would be like, that's well deserved. Because I truly think it was a great performance.
Yeah, I do want to make an effort, though, to watch as many films nominated as possible this year.
Guys, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, make sure you subscribe, give us a 5-star rating and review. That helps Katie and I out so much. And if you're listening on Spotify, please make sure that you're going to our Popcorn Chats homepage and subscribing to that as well, and that you're downloading the episodes every week. If you are watching on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe, hit the notification bell, like this video, leave us a comment. You know the drill. If you're listening on any other podcast platform, thank you, and please
please do whatever you have to do to download or subscribe or rate and review the episodes there.
I hope you all have a safe week. Please still remember that we are in a pandemic. Thank you.
Yeah.
And Lilas.
Lilas.